All right, YouTube. So I'm out of work for the next couple of days. I got sick with COVID, so I thought I would take the time here just to put the lift on this truck. The lift we're using, I got it on Amazon. It's the KSP leveling kit. It will raise the front 3 inches and 2 in the rear. The kit is super basic. It just comes with the, comes with some blocks that you'll use for the rear. New U-bolts, longer U-bolts, and then the front spacers. So I think this truck here is a 2015 GMC Canyon. I think it's a good looking truck. What I'm trying to gain with this lift here is just a more aggressive look on it. Front passenger side wheel, we're currently sitting at 34.5 inches. Rear passenger, we're at 36 and just over a quarter, 3/8. Rear driver, we're right there at 36 inches. And then front driver, we are at 34. So hopefully here we'll get a full 3 inches in the front and 2 in the back. All right, so I got the truck jacked up, got the strut here all pulled out, and I've got that top hat installed, or that hockey puck, whatever you want to call it, installed on here. This kit, let me get the tape measure out here. As you can see, it's supposed to be a 3-inch lift, but it's about 2 3/4, or 1 3/4 size. The reason why is suspension geometry. So this added length there is going to push that lower A arm further, which is going to net 3 inches, or at least that's what the idea is. And so usually when you want like a 2-inch lift, you're not going to find like a 2-inch exact puck or spacer for these trucks. It'll be a little bit less to accommodate for the suspension geometry. This kit here also, you can see here, they're not, these studs here are not pressed into the spacer. So you're gonna have to just slide them in and stick it up yourself, just like that. Slide them in, stick it up in there, which is going to be a pain in the butt trying to get them in the truck. So we'll get this going and I'll get you another update at that point. All right, guys, let me tell you about this cluster here that I'm looking at. So I was looking at some of the reviews for this kit, and people were saying that they got it on in a couple of hours. I'm gonna call bull crap on this. And let me tell you everything that I just had to fight through. If I did something wrong, feel free to tell me how terrible I am and how I shouldn't be working on cars. But anyways, first thing, got the top hat in. Got these bolts started, not just started enough so that it would hang there, but loose enough so that it could wiggle and adjust as needed. Getting this bolt back into the control arm was the biggest pain I've experienced in a long time. You can see it's come through here. This nut on this side is welded to this bracket. When I do the other side, I'm either gonna cut that nut off so that when I stick the bolt through again, it won't be obstructing it from clearing all the way to the other side, or the tip of this I might just sharpen, so to not to a point, but to definitely something better than what it is, so that when I get it close in the neighborhood, it'll find its way through. Now, with the spacer in here, made this whole apparatus that much longer. I tried pushing down on the control arm and everything. When I was doing that, I found that I was putting tension on the brake line cable, so I immediately stopped that, pulled the brake caliper off. Found I needed new brakes. I'll make another video on that here in a minute. Anyway, and I still couldn't get it in. I had a pry bar, try and get it pried up in place, still would not work. So what I did is I eventually went to these coil spring compressors. So the idea I had that seemed to have worked is if I compress the spring just a little bit, then that shock will come up just a little, enough for me to have some more wiggle room down there so that that bolt can find its way through the bracket. Even with it compressed, this was a freaking bear to fight to get in. So anyways, I mean, it might be worth it going with spending a few extra dollars more and going with like a real kit than, well, I shouldn't say a real kit, but going with another kit here. I'll let you guys know how this progresses. So another thing here I wanted to talk about is the half shaft here, or the front axle. Looks a little funny. Anyway, from up here down, I don't like that angle. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but that is quite the angle that is on there. I understand that there's no wheel on here and that this is jacked up and this is at full drop, but even then, like if you intend to off-road your vehicle at all, even in the slightest, like you're gonna need some wheel articulation. Your wheels are gonna articulate, and your wheels are gonna come to a full drop. That just puts a lot of tension on this part right here. I'm not sure if there's an axle drop kit and everything, but then that kind of takes away the point of having a lift. If you're going to drop the axle, that just reduces your ground clearance, which you're trying to get with a lift. So anyway, some food for thought there. Currently right now, if I were to do this again, I don't know. This kit isn't looking that great. What's up, dude? Oh, we have a little commentator over here. All right, so got the upper ball joint on. That was a whole sketchy ordeal. There's still a little bit of pressure underneath this. It's not technically at full drop, but currently as is, this A-arm is making contact with that bracket. And also underneath here, we're touching the spring. So unless you're gonna, I'm probably going to I'm gonna put the truck back together now, only because I need it. But I don't feel 100% comfortable with it. I'm probably gonna get new upper control arms because I don't want to take that mess out. So I'll probably get new upper A-arms and also the axle drop kit as well. All right, we're back over here on the driver's side. We finally got everything put back together for this lift. First thing I want to say is everything over on this side of the truck came off a lot easier than the first side. And also everything went back into the truck just fine. Whereas the other side, well, I was really nervous about some things. Over here, I still have the spring is making contact with the upper A-arm. I don't like this ball joint angle. And then I also don't like the angle of my drive shaft over here. So those are just, just some of the things that I'm worried about on this kit. But anyway, it's on now, so we might as well just see how it looks and complete it. All right, so now we're gonna put these blocks in the back. These are super easy to get out, just those carriage bolts, or I don't even know what you're calling those, U-bolts or whatever, and on the axle. I got them removed on both sides. You can't see that over there. Just an air impact gun will do the trick, 21 millimeter. Now I'm looking at these blocks here, and you see that there's a slight taper. What you're wanting to do is when you put these in, when these are installed, you want that taper to be towards the tall end of it, to be towards the back of the truck. So I thought this would, anyway, hope that helps you out. All right, so I got the rear blocks in, as you can see over there and over there. I gotta tighten them down. I left everything kind of loose so that I can work things in. Now, things to keep in mind if you decided to get this kit and do it yourself. The shocks, I had to disconnect it. Reason being is once you get it jacked up in the air, these shocks do not have enough drop to be able to fit that block in there. So you disconnect the shock and it'll hang down more. While it's hanging, be very cautious of this sensor line here. It gets pretty dang tight. So what I did was I disconnected it from this bracket, and I had a lot more play in it, so I'm just gonna put that back there. The next thing is these rubber hoses here. I think I read in the comment section of this kit that, you know, somebody put, I don't know, someone gave it like a lesser rating than what it is because they thought they had to get new shocks because these shocks are too short. These shocks are not too short. You just got to disconnect them so that, again, the axle can hang a little lower and you can put it on there. But I would not put a longer shock on there. The reason being, these rubber hoses, these also get real tight while you're putting that block in there. And if you have a longer axle, or a longer shock, that means the axle is going to drop lower more often, which is going to put more wear on these brake lines. So you got a couple over here, and you got, oh, I think that's just it, just over on this side. And I don't know about you guys, but I do not want to be putting pressure or any undue pressure on these rubber hoses back here. I understand, like, if you're getting a lift, you probably want to get out there in the woods and stuff, but at the same time, you don't want to have brake problems out there in the woods. So anyways, I think this is going to wrap up my video. All I got to do here is just tighten up these bolts, put the, I don't know, that piece back on over there and tighten it up, and then run it on over to an alignment shop, and then it's done. All right, so we're finally done lifting the truck. I think it doesn't look bad. I think it looks really good, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. Forgive the messy shop space and kids' toys and random tools laying around everywhere, but just take a look at that. Let's go around and measure the ground clearance now. All right. So front driver, we are at just over 37, maybe 37.25 inches. All right, that was front passenger, my fault. Rear passenger, we are at just a hair over 38.5, which is good. There's a slight rake there. Rear driver, just a hair over 38. And then front driver, we are right there, just a hair under 37. All right, so here are a few before pictures. You can really see how close that front tire is to the fender and how low it is, both there in the front and the back. In a few more days after we get over our quarantine, I'm going to take the truck in, get it aligned, and drive it around. All right, YouTube. So we took the truck in for an alignment a couple of days ago. We've been driving it around. I've got to say I like the kit. There's some things that I don't like about it, but overall, I like the kit. It was real difficult getting the front passenger side in. Reason why is I think that shock is a little bit longer than the driver's side is. If you can get over that, you'll be all right. Some things that I don't like about it is, again, the upper A-arm. There's a gap between that and the spring. At full drop, this upper A-arm is going to be touching the spring, which is going to limit how far down this wheel can travel. I also, the driveline angle, or the angle of that drive shaft, that piece, that boot in there, it looks good. It looks all right while you're just out driving around with weight on the vehicle. But again, at full drop, I don't like that angle. And then in the back, to install these lift blocks in there, let's see if we can. To install that block, you're gonna need to disconnect the shock because that shock won't let the axle drop far enough to be able to install that block. Which, if you're gonna off-road this truck, because of the A-arm and the spring up front, and then the shock in the back, that's going to limit your articulation and how far down these wheels can drop.
So if you're planning on off-roading this truck or doing anything like any serious off-roading, like, you know, Moab or up in the mountains and everything, I'd spend a few extra dollars more and get a kit that's got all the proper components. On Amazon, I saw that some people complained about those rear shocks and said that they needed to get new shocks. Do not get new shocks for this truck. You want the stock shocks for it. Reason being is that stock shock is going to keep that axle from dropping too far, because if that axle drops too far, these rubber brake lines, those rubber brake hoses right there, are going to get stretched out, and then you're going to have bigger problems. So anyways, make sure you keep that stuff stock. My only my last qualm, you can't really tell because the wheel's slightly turned, is now the front two tires, they look like they're too close together. So anyways, I might get some wheel spacers and put that on there. Anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I hope this helps you make a decision on whether or not to get it. If you just want a lift on a truck, just to say that you got a lift on a truck and have it look nice, this kit would definitely be the way to go. Anyways, thanks a lot. Like and subscribe.